You have served the Fine Gael party well over the many decades. When did you get involved first?
Well, I was elected in 1979 as a vocal, then in 79 to the council.
How old were you then? Go on.
I'm involved in Fine Gael since I'm about 15 years of age. So
wow.
I'm there. I remember Eddie Collins's by-election, so I do in 66. Eddie Collins getting elected in 69.
So Fine Gael has been in the family, it's been in the sort of
it hasn't really. We've been
blood.
There was no family background really before that there, but there had been some
Why did you go with Fine Gael?
Oh, well, I suppose at that stage it was Fianna Fáil that were permanently in government at that stage, so I was always a bit of a radical as well.
Bit of a radical.
So certainly Declan Costello's Just Society would have enticed me into Fine Gael at the time there, and stuck with it ever since. So I did there, Damien.
Is there room for radicals in Fine Gael?
Oh, I think there is certainly room for radicals in Fine Gael, all right. But yeah, you must channel those radical ideas in the right direction there. That's what it's all about.
And that leads us nicely, as you see where I'm coming from, into the radical inverted commas, and that's why he's been quoted lots of times as John Deasy. And John Deasy has obviously decided now that he's not going to be running for the next general election. What's your view about that?
Well, I had come out and said that John should have made up his mind some time ago. I think he's doing making the right decision in not standing again. I've spoken already about his visibility and attendance in the constituency and dealing with the matters that we need addressed. But that's water under the bridge now. He's not standing, and the party obviously have to look forward to the future in that regard.
And we'll talk about that future in a second, because there's a big meeting coming up this Thursday down in Dungarvan. You got an email from the Secretary-General of the party last Friday or Thursday night?
Yes, yeah.
And what effectively did that say?
Well, I think at the last time I spoke to you there, Damien, it was as a result of a meeting on the 23rd of June that we had. And we had a discussion on the local elections. And when I was speaking, I was continually interrupted. And I turned around and I said, I want to speak. Will you please don't interrupt me again and stop? And that was interpreted as being intimidation and bullying, which surprised me. But the allegation was hanging there, and certainly from my point of view, I wanted to clear my good name, because anyone else at the meeting certainly didn't believe that I had intimidated or bullied anyone. I don't think my style, I think people who know me there, it's not my style, and I think it took up to last week for the party. They investigated the matter, and it was found in the note from Tom Curran, the General Secretary, that my behaviour certainly wasn't intimidatory or indeed bullying under any circumstances. So I was glad that was out of the way. It was very important to me because I've been 40 years in public life, and I don't think I've ever, and I hope I haven't, intimidated or bullied anyone. You'll have the rows with opposition and within your own party, and you'll shake hands afterwards and so on. But certainly I wouldn't be one that would be associated and would abhor bullying in any forum.
You're not just a local councillor in the past. You also have been a senator and leader of the House. So you have seen many political jousts over the years, and you're quite experienced in handling debates as they happen. So you could distinguish quite easily between somebody being even aggressive and somebody having a political shot at somebody. There's a difference, isn't there?
Of course there is. There's a complete difference there. It's the same as there's the same really as hurling matches there or soccer matches there. You can have a go at the fella there, and they might be out of verbals as well. But after the game you shake hands there, and I don't think that could be classified as bullying in any way there as such there. But
how, Maurice Cummins, has it been for you with this bullying allegation hanging over you for the last few months?
Oh, it wasn't pleasant, I can assure you there. There was a certain amount of stress in it, because you could have lads there, which I've had on the streets. Here's the bully coming along, you know. And whilst we all laugh at it and all that, it can still get in on you after a while. So I'm glad that it's out of the way now and put to bed. From my own mental point of view there, and indeed everyone's point of view, really. I want to get on with it now.
Have you had
I'm retired for the last 3 years from national politics, and although I still have people coming up on a weekly basis asking me to do things there, which I help if I can at all, but people still don't realise that I am retired, but that's the way it is,
Have you had sleepless nights over it?
Oh, well, I had a few at the beginning there, but I knew in my own heart and soul, and indeed everybody else that I met that were at the meeting, they said that there was no question of anything like that where I was concerned.
People are entitled to take cases to employers or to representative bodies, in this case we'd say the Fine Gael party, alleging bullying if needs be, and they may perceive it as bullying, and that's one of the problems, I suppose, with bullying, that somebody's perception may not be the reality.
And that's true, and it's very important that option is always open to anybody there, and they should be investigated fully, which this was. What format did the investigation take? Well, I don't know really what format. I know I was interrogated and asked what went on, and given my opinions on what was said, and the context of the meeting and so on and so forth. And I believe other people and officers were interviewed also. And it was as a result of that the findings were made.
And when you say interrogated, you don't mean that in a bad way?
No, I think that it was carried out in a very business-like manner, I would say there, yeah.
There have been allegations then by John Deasy. Specifically then there was one allegation against you, not by John Deasy, but against you regarding this meeting. And then there's a broader thing that John Deasy has raised, saying that there has been bullying over the years within Fine Gael and in the party locally. We had former councillor Tom Higgins, Dr. Tom Higgins, on the radio last week. He said he's never come across anything. Was that investigated as part of this, or was this just...
No, I think this was done just this issue.
Just this issue on the
broader
meeting.
issue, and... many people are still scratching their heads as regards what those allegations are, because in all my time, I can't remember instances of bullying. But I'd be interested, and they should be investigated if there is an allegation there. But I don't know what they are, and many other people who regularly attend meetings are just wondering what they are really too,
I really appreciate you coming in this morning, because I know it's a difficult thing on a personal level, and I was talking to you over the last few months. It did upset you, this allegation.
Well, it certainly upset me there, Damien, there. I think if anybody has an allegation made against them there that they know that is not true, it still upsets them in a way, But all water under the bridge now, as far as I'm concerned.
So you have you been completely exonerated?
Yes, completely exonerated, yes. No intimidation and no bullying, and that was the allegation, and that's it as far as I'm concerned.
So you can walk
away.
You can walk down the street and you can tell the lads, anybody jokes with you, lads, gone, forget about it.
Oh yeah. I was never in any doubt anyway, but in my own mind.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have it cleared and out of the way now at this stage.
John Deasy has decided he's not going to run in the next election. The Deasy name will not be on the ticket for the first time in nearly half a century. At the minute, we're looking at 3 potential Fine Gael members looking to go on the ticket with Senator Paddy Coffey to run in the next general election in Waterford. We've got Damien Gagan wanting to put his name forward. We've got John Deasy saying that Liam Brazel should be the man to replace him. And we've got your son, John Cummins, would like to go as well. My understanding is there's going to be a meeting this Thursday in Dungarvan. The bullying allegations, I presume, may well be part of that, but also I presume there'll be a discussion on what happens to get the running mate for Paddy Coffey.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure the members will want to know. We haven't been able to do that over the last number of years, which we crying out for a decision to be made. But now the party will have to make a decision. There won't be another convention, unfortunately, there. So it's up to the party and the National Executive and Pascal Donoghue is the Director of Elections nationally, and the General Secretary is down as well. So I'm sure that there will be a discussion on that, and indeed many of the issues in which need attention in Waterford, which the membership have been trying to address, and to get people that like Pascal Donoghue down. And I'm sure they'll be addressed as well there and brought up at the meeting.
I presume you will be supporting your son's endeavours to get on that ticket.
Oh, I certainly will be supporting his endeavours to get onto the ticket, but he's his own man. He has his own ideas, and I certainly wouldn't try and influence him one way or another. I never wanted him to get involved in politics, but he's there now.
It's a very difficult thing to do, because if you were to divorce the fact that John is your son, you could look at the arithmetic of this and say, should we have, when I say the Fine Gael party yourselves, should you have a somebody running in the city, or Damien Gagan would argue you need somebody down the west.
Yeah, well, you can have a city candidate and a county candidate, or you can have two county candidates.
So you think there could be three candidates?
No, there could possibly be three candidates, but I think from a party point of view it would be better to just have two. So you decide then whether you want one in the city and one in the county. If you want one in the city and one in the county, there's going to be Cummins and Coffey. If you want two county candidates, there's going to be Coffey and either Brazil or Gagan. But there's also another permutation that could come into play. As you know, there's a 40% quota needed of women needed for all parties, and they'll be looking for women as well. I'm sure. I think even with all the people that have been selected in Fine Gael, I think there's still a couple of women short of that 40%. And when it comes down to that 40%, they'll get them, whichever the parties are, because it will mean if they don't, they'll be cut funding in headquarters. And you may be damn sure that won't happen with any of them. They'll have their quota of 40%.
So do you think there may be somebody to come in out of the blue? For example, Tom Higgins mentioned Mary Green the other day. I've spoken to Mary and she said jokingly 20 years too late.
Yeah, Mary would have been an excellent candidate too.
Might still well be, no? But you see, if Mary comes in, then that might scupper John's chances.
Well, it might, but Mary and Paddy are very close together then, you see, geographically as well.
So that wouldn't work.
So I don't think that would work as such there, you know.
So you would be arguing that Paddy would be the county candidate, even though Paddy would have and has built a lot of support in the city and has been doing that quite assiduously in the last while, on the basis that John Deasy having been down the west.
Yeah.
So Paddy has done so. Paddy mightn't want a city-based candidate.
I don't know. I think Paddy would live with a city-based candidate, because if you look at the votes, and that's what counts, the whole metropolitan area the last time, Waterford City and Tramore area, John and Paddy got 5,000 between them, and they got 9.5 in the county. So if you have a city candidate with Tramore as well, there's 5,000 Fine Gael votes there. There's 9.5 in the rest of the county. So if I was Paddy, I'd be delighted, so I would, if you had a city and county divide in that case. And I think Paddy will get the votes in the county as well, you know.
I know we've run over on this, but the figures at the minute show that Fine Gael is at a low ebb in terms of the opinion polls. Also in the city, you have the potential of Matt Shanahan running, which could scupper your chances.
Well, it could, but I think Fine Gael will get one seat definitely, and I think we'd be there fighting for a second seat there. A lot of water under the bridge there. Between now and an election. Although, in saying that, if you have an election in the UK in October, I think there'd be a good possibility that we'd have one here as well at the same time. So you could have a snap election like that.
My sources tell me no, it won't happen, because Fine Gael don't want an election at the minute, because things are so low at the minute, and there's some internal Fine Gael polling across the country that shows it even worse.
Well, you might know more than I would in that. I'm out of the loop now, you see, Damien, there.
I'd say you still know a fair bit now, Maurice. Maurice Cummins, thank you very much, and congratulations on having the bullying allegations been rejected.
Thank you, Damien.